Hello and good morning. Well, my plan had been to work on this clear board, gesso board, but I actually decided to use one that I had previously worked on. I don't know why really, but I think it's something to do with the bubbly kind of greens, that they feel a little bit like the frothy yellow flowers and the green leaves, and I just kind of fancy the idea of using this board really and just kind of doing something different. And also, because there's oil paint already out, I thought I'd use that rather than start with acrylic. I sometimes would start with acrylic with something like this, but today I decided I was going to use oil from the beginning. So let's just see how it goes. I've got a lot of oil paint, you see, out already on the palette, so I thought it'd be a good idea to use what I have out. And yeah, so let's just make a start. I guess I don't have to do every single thing here, you know the way. I don't have to obliterate all of this, and I don't have to explain all of that. I can find a meeting point that feels satisfying, hopefully. And I think maybe it's to do with starting with something dark. So I've got some raw umber. Don't know if you can see my palette, not really. So I've got some raw umber here and ultramarine blue. And I mix the two of those together to give me a very dark colour. Just to start off with there. I don't know if I need to go that dark to begin with, but well, why not? I'll just try and make some sense of this for myself. Now, I know that this flower, I want to get that flower in, the one that extends all the way over there. So it might mean reducing the size of things elsewhere, and being sure that I position the vase far enough over to this side. Might even just indicate where the edge of the vase will be by that little shape that sits inside it. And then there's another little shape here, just to say this is the curve of the pot. And then I think the third bit of the pot that's dark will be over to the left there. I hope that's about right now. Maybe it's here, this second bit of darkness. And then we'll come up for the leaf and the stem of that pink flower. And hopefully it'll fit. So I'm kind of drawing it out really with this dark colour. Hopefully it'll fit there. The trumpet of that lovely pink flower. I'll be happy enough over there. And then the other little pink flower will sit here. And then there's a green leaf there. And then up here, there's another stem that extends darkly up to meet the bright of that second or third, so that's the second one, third pink bloom up there. So, and I'm going to find the curve of the table now, because I think that'll help me with the relationship between these flowers. But I need to close one eye to get the, let's see now, which eye am I going to close? Yeah, I'm closing my right eye, so that means that the edge of the table sits about here, and it comes up to meet this lovely bright pink, which has a dark triangle of background explaining it, and a dark edge up there too. Okay, there's some bit of clarity arriving. I might get some green and mix it in with these. Now this is Hooker's green. I don't know if you can see it here. It's Hooker's green there mixed in with the ultramarine blue and the Van Dyke brown. But I think I'll just gradually, remembering that it's my right eye I'm closing, I'm going to gradually find the darkish green areas now as a step up from the very dark colour of the pot and things, of the shadows in the pot, you know. So there's a dark green there on the way up to that flower. And there's some other little touches of dark green too with the second stem arriving. And then there's one that sits above the pink flower on its own there. And it's got a good relationship, I think, with that. But that might not come up quite as high. And then there's a little sprout of dark green here that extends from that pink flower. And some more over here. I like this, trying to find things, to kind of find the key or place things, you know, without having to place everything. Just seeking those tones that are similar to the green that I've just placed down, and then finding its position best I can. This may lift a little bit more, just a tiny bit more. And then there's a leaf here too. Okay. And I might put a bit of yellow into that now, in order that I get a lighter green again. This is the cadmium yellow. So we'll see what that looks like. I think maybe it's not only yellow, but also maybe a touch of white, because the green I'm looking at now is quite light. And it's not so yellow light, it's got a white light to it as well. And I'm not looking at one particular leaf, I'm just kind of generally feeling like the whole area could have something of this shade of green in it. Something like that anyway. Let me see now. I better start to find individual leaves, alright though. Seems to be something around here. There, that leaf. It's not quite that dull though. Maybe I need to use it over here instead. For this leaf that extends up kind of in the shadows. And there's a little touch of that colour down here for the stem of the yellow. I think that was going to come off, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm not convinced this green is that useful at this point actually. Maybe I'll just put a couple more touches and then go on to a different colour. Just going to use a clean brush to capture, where now am I? Oh yeah, to get the edge of that pink flower, the shape of it. It'll come up here and around there, and then it'll come down here, the pink flower. And so, yeah, I think that does need to lift a little. it might be time to bring either yellow or blue or pink into the mix. I'm kind of considering the pink because I think I'll need to make it really quite thick in order for it to cover what's there already. But maybe what I can do is simply draw out the shape of each of the flowers with the pink oil paint that I've got here, and see, just even to make a beginning, and later I can do the dark or the really bright parts of it. For now I can just give a nod to the colour of it by drawing with this pink. I can't, I've got my glasses, let me see, I was going to say I can't read what it says. Permanent magenta is the colour I chose there. Just lifting off my glasses again there. Okay, so this is the bell-shaped bottom of the flower, kind of. And now it's reaching up, and it's really bright. So it doesn't seem appropriate to outline it all. But I can just even begin to find the shape of the underside of it there. And then this one down here is a good bit darker because of its position. So there will be an area inside of it that's quite dark. I'm noticing now that I'm spreading the colour out over the green background that I probably need to include a bit of purple. What's this colour? Violet. Ultramarine violet. Might be that. What else have I got? Magenta, quinacridine magenta. I think that's the one I actually used already. So I'll try the other magenta, permanent magenta. It might be that the permanent magenta is my colour, but it's a bit congealed, look. Just going to see if I can navigate my way into it with the palette knife. With it being oil paint, hopefully I'll strike oil at some point. It's all quite dried out. It does feel pliable enough elsewhere though, so this is some bit of fluid oil paint. Even if I was to cut open the bottom of it, I might manage it. I'll persevere with the top for a while anyway. Yeah, because I do think it's closer to the colour of the flower. I'm just going to get scissors. I'll turn you off for a minute and I'll come back at this part 2.